Hi, this is Carlos from RC Advisor. I'm doing a product review today of this is my charger, which is an iCharger 306B, and this is pretty good. I had an OK charger before. It didn't have an LCD on it, but otherwise it was okay. I think I had paid about $100 for it, but I said, okay, I really want to upgrade. I wanna be able to handle different chemistries. But the feature that I really wanted that I didn't have before was a discharge cycle. And the thing with batteries is a couple of things. One is that when you get a brand new battery pack, you really should do a full discharge charge cycle on it. And that's, you need to do that to measure the capacity, because every battery is a little bit different. And I say maybe once a year go and do a discharge cycle on it. And brand new battery, I do a discharge cycle and write on the battery the actual capacity. I like to do that at a very low discharge rate, even though there's different opinions on that. If you want to do a high discharge rate to match what you actually fly at, that makes sense. Just make sure that the discharger can handle that. But if then you retest the battery once a year, you'll have that baseline and you know what's happening with the battery. So you can make a smart decision. Okay, I'm down to 80% capacity or 70% capacity. I'm going to just stop using the battery. Or say, okay, I'm down to 75% capacity, so I know when it's going to start running out of power on me. So but the other thing that the other reason why I wanted a discharger is the batteries last a lot longer if you store them at maybe 50% charge capacity, okay, or charge rate. Because if you store the battery fully charged, they're going to lose capacity a lot more quickly. And in order to do that and to do it safely and easily, you really need to have a pretty smart charger that can, in fact, this iCharger has a storage mode, so that I can plug in a battery and say, take it to storage mode, and it'll either charge it up or discharge it to bring it to that level. And a really nice feature that this iCharger has, that there's not many chargers out there that have it, is what they call a regenerative discharge mode. And what that does is, because normally when you're discharging the battery, all of that energy has to go somewhere. And what a charger will do is that it has to dissipate it as heat, because it's got no other choice. And it's got a smart fan on it that only comes on when it needs to, and it hardly ever comes on for me. But this charger has the option, and it's a DC charger, so I have it plugged into a deep cycle lead acid battery. So you can tell it that while it's discharging, to take that energy that it's taking from the battery and feed it back to the lead acid battery. So you're actually charging up the lead acid battery, but what's really nice is that this stays cool. I mean, I've done that a couple of times, not with huge batteries, but with the small ones that I tend to fly with, and it wasn't even warm. I mean, of course, it's kind of heavy, and it's got a big kind of iron or steel case to it, and it's got the fan, big fan there on the side and the vent on the other side. So it seems to be well constructed. Now there's a couple of versions to this one. This one can handle up to 6 Lipo'S. You can charge up to 6. And there's another version that can do up to 10. But in order to do more than 6, you need to have more than a 12 volt input lead acid battery, and I only have one, so I don't fly with huge big battery packs. So I got the 6 version, which is it costs a little bit less, but I mean, you can get something like this for, I don't know, about $200, maybe less. Maybe I think I paid $175 or maybe $160 for mine. But a lot of people like the 10 cell version because the price difference is not a lot. But I was just like, I don't think I'm ever gonna need that, so I went for this one. Otherwise, it pretty much does everything. It can charge up pretty much any chemistry. It can also do the lithium iron phosphate, which is what I'm using in my transmitter. It can, it has even a fully automated cycling mode, where you can say charge it, discharge it, and do it multiple times. It'll tell you what the capacity is and the voltage on the individual cells, because it's got a built-in balancer. So the balancing port on the side of it, the batteries that I use just plug right in there. It came, I'm pretty sure it came with a temperature probe, but I was using that, but I just don't bother anymore because it seems to be pretty safe. It's got a you can be connected to a computer through USB, but I haven't done anything with that. The other thing with these chargers is that if you go online, it's not hard to come across people that are complaining about it, saying that they got it and it just blew up on them. And my conclusion, I read all of those comments before I bought it, and my conclusion is that I think most of the people that this is happening to are abusing the charger, and that's something with something like this that is already a little bit expensive to begin with. So they just don't. They cannot spend a lot of money on over voltage protection circuitry. So it just doesn't protect itself as well as it could. And so bottom line is, if you're gonna try and push this to the limit, it's gonna fail on you. That's just the bottom line. I've been using this for it might be a year now, and never had any kind of issue with it. Extremely happy with it. Of course, I'm not charging huge, big, massive battery packs, but I just don't push it to the limit. I'm okay. It says it can handle 6, okay, but I'm not gonna put 6 huge, big, massive batteries on here. Cells. So anyway, you have to be careful with complaints online, because the people that complain, that post online, are probably the ones that are really unhappy. But you have to read between the lines. Was this person abusing the product? Were they really following the instructions? And a lot of the time, my conclusion is that no, they weren't. So I can strongly recommend iCharger 306B. There's a 10 cell version, which is almost the same thing. It's something that I expect to last me for a long time, and had it for a year, no complaints whatsoever. It's got a nice LCD screen, no problem getting it to do what I want. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this review.